allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brad online?
No, he was actually coming in person,
Okay.
so he should be here shortly. Can people, here. Are you able to hear me on the call? Randy's shaking his head, yes. Larry, yes. Okay, thank you. Share the screen here.
And you got it to where you pop it big.
Yep. Okay. Well, Brad had asked to go first because he has another appointment that he has to leave.
Okay.
So I don't know if you wanna take care of some of the other things while we're waiting.
Yeah, anybody, I just got my chat box open. I don't see anybody that's wanting to do a public comment other than for the administrator.
I think
so-
that might be a long,
Yeah, so that would be the later public comment, since it's closer to that part of the agenda, I think.
okay, Brad says. I think he's having trouble getting in.
Okay. Getting in the
I'll have-
building?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You didn't know the secret way in?
Okay. Oh, here he is.
Yeah, I hear him.
Okay.
The man of the hour.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, I think that, since you had asked to be first, Brad, that we were ready for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just-
Executive session, if we could, please.
Okay.
Time. I never know. Half hour, potential litigation.
Okay, so, for folks that are just joining us, it looks like we are gonna be, recessing into executive session with the attorney for about 30 minutes. And, once the motion is made, we'll tell you what time to get back on the call. I apologize for the inconvenience.
Okay. Well, all right, I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss potential litigation or consultation with our attorney-client privilege for 30 minutes, to resume at 9:35 with Brad, Jance, and the board, pursuant to KSA 75-4319B.
Second.
Second by Diane. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. 5-0.
Okay, so we'll need to sign back on for the public will, our executive session will go till 9:35. We should be back up by 9:37 with the technology. Not yet, I gotta get Randy back on.
Randy got his.
KDHE's website.
Okay. It doesn't always work to switch back and forth, but I can try to do that.
Oh, okay.
Unless she's got it on
Because I
hers.
just kind of
Share your
wanted
screen.
to let you know where to look, because
Okay.
we've had a lot of questions on how many tests
Okay.
have been performed,
Are you,
in Marion County.
are you,
And I'll just
Deidre?
kind of explain it. What-
Deidre, are you signed on the computer?
Yeah.
Deidre,
Yes.
to the go-to meeting? Okay, so if you go to the website, I can make you the presenter and you can share your screen.
There might be something on there that I don't wanna
Okay.
share.
Okay,
Um,
Let me,
that's all right. Let's see, I can try to go there, just a second.
Really?
I'll just
I can go to.
close out
What-
on stuff.
what do
Okay,
you-
so you just want KDHE, if you just search
Yeah.
KDHE, then Jonah's gonna pull it up, maybe.
Had it, come on.
I mean, I've just been working on grants and also,
Okay, so where do you, are you on the website, Jonah?
Yeah, I'm on KDHE. Which tab do I go to? COVID-19.
if you,
Actually,
Yes.
I'll lead them through it after I.
Okay. I'm gonna make Jonah the presenter, so he should be able to share his screen. Do you see an opportunity to do that? Okay, there it is.
Okay, so I'm
Okay.
displaying the screen here. We go to KDHE, ks.gov, and then we click into COVID-19, right?
correct.
Okay. All right, and then right at the top, it tells you the
Okay.
confirmed cases in Kansas. It shows you the map of Kansas. That-
Right,
The map.
if you click on that. And then if you scroll down,
Yep. You can get
you'll
all.
see the first map. And scroll past that first map,
It's clicking back on me.
there, and that last map,
Wow. Hold on a minute.
if you hover over Marion County, it'll tell you, okay, scroll down, not that map, but the next one after that.
Okay. Hold on, it's,
Like, you'll see some bar charts. That map, if you go to Marion County, it will show you the number tested.
yeah, it shows 5 cases, 76 tested, rating of test is 6.4 per 1,000 population.
Right,
And then if you click on the
if
county,
you're interested in bar graphs, you should be able to hover over any point on there, like the
any
the
point,
one further down.
come on. There we go. All right,
And if you hover over there, you can get information on like the days, the total cases on each day. So I just kind of wanted you to be aware, cause, that is something new.
Yeah.
So, and KDHE, as you noticed, has changed their website. So the toolkits are a little bit different to, find those. If you go out of the map now,
Gotcha.
and if you scroll down, and there's toolkits, and you can click on whichever one. There are arrows, so that banner of toolkits will go, change. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. It seems that there has been a little bit of confusion on testing. At this point, KDHE is recognizing only the PCR, which is the polymerase chain reaction that is done with the nasal swab. That's what's recorded in the numbers. Now, there have been serology testing, which consists of IgG and IgM, and at this time, those tests are not to be used for diagnosis of the COVID-19 or the SARS-CoV-2 because it doesn't distinguish between the other coronaviruses. And when we were very first into this virus, I talked to you about the different, there's 4 common coronaviruses that tend to cause colds. And so serology testing at this point does not distinguish between those. So they're recommending that when a serology test is done, they also do the PCR testing with that. And that's what the diagnosis will be based on the PCR testing. Also, people need to keep in mind that the immunity, the length of the immunity at this point is not known. They're doing a lot of research to try to find out, does the immunity last for a month? Does it last for 2 months, or will it last for a year? Those studies are still being conducted. So if you hear people, there's been a lot of talk about there's way more positives in Marion County. Well, people can show up with a serology positive, but at this point, we are not counting those in numbers. Now, we're still, recommending if they're symptomatic that they be in quarantine, and then the quarantine and isolation, that's 2 different things. Remember that isolation is for the ill, and we have the length of time varies for people because, as I mentioned before, it's 7 days after the first symptom or 72 hours after they've been fever-free without medication and they're well. So whichever's longer, so that can vary in people. The quarantine can vary sometimes too because it's 14 days from the last day of exposure to a positive case. So that's where you'll see some variance on people getting out of quarantine or isolation. I do want to let you know that as of the 16th, there were 13 long-term care. Now this is within the state of Kansas, clusters or outbreaks that are dealing with 13 long-term care facilities, 2 group living facilities, 5 church-related, a correctional facility, a hospital, and 7 private companies. So that, again, the state is reporting clusters and outbreaks, and that has not occurred in Marion County at this point. So those are throughout the state. So that kind of reinforces why the stay-at-home order has occurred. We are still encouraging people to just travel on essential, and if you are to limit, be 6 feet apart and limit your time with less than 10 minutes, and also just good hand washing, good common sense. Wash your hands for 20 seconds. Make sure if you are wearing masks out in the public that you wash those masks. Don't have a mask and wear it for 3 days in a row, because that might cause other issues. I did want to update you on, we received 1 round of the Sunflower Foundation COVID Core Support Grant that's put out by the Kansas Association of Local Health Departments. They had $52,500 to distribute. We could apply for that. It was based on 2 tiers, 1 tier with a confirmed case within the county, the 2nd tier was without confirmed case. And this grant was further broken into a frontier, rural, densely settled rural, semi-urban, and an urban population density. The interesting thing is, like, if you were considered a frontier, you got $2,000. If you were rural, you got $1,500, and we did get the $1,500, and that's just simply to support our efforts in the disease surveillance. The check, we did receive it on April 10th, and this money will be used for salary and overtime. It will just be a small portion of that. We don't have to report on this grant. We did receive a COVID-19 supplemental grant from the state, and that is for $14,188. We've already received 25% of this funding, and that again goes to salary of our epi nurse. Now this grant will require progress notes and fiscal reporting, much like what we do for all our other state grants. So are there any questions on the COVID?
The one thing I'd talked with you about is we're not at the point that we have any recoveries yet, right?
Those we are not reporting the recoveries at this time. Because the recoveries, KDHE hasn't started to report those. It's kind of assuming that at some point if they aren't deceased, they've recovered. And if, at some point we might report recoveries, but right now we're kind of focusing more on contacts and the surveillance and investigations.
Well, isn't that something we could do on a local level, at least for our residents?
Yeah, we could probably get those figures.
Okay. I think it would ease some people's minds a little bit to know that people are
Okay.
really getting over it.
And what seems to have been found that is kind of the middle age, or between 30 and 40, 20 to 40-year-olds, it can take up to 2.5 weeks to recover.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I was
Go ahead.
I was assuming that we weren't at that point, since the cases that we got were 21 days ago, I think, first case. So to technically have your 14 days afterward, I assumed we weren't ready for that information, but when it becomes available, Mondays would be nice to know how many recoveries we have.
One has recovered, so.
Okay.
So that's important, I think, because that takes a lot of the focus off of all the negative.
It's good
You have
news.
recovery, because if you say you have 5 known cases and 1 has recovered, then that takes it down, even though it was
Now
a
you're-
known case, it's
Now
not.
you're in 4 active cases.
Yeah, exactly, I
You're
think
like
that's
Morris-
important to put out, actually.
Morris County has 0 active cases.
Exactly, I
Well,
think that's just as
I
important as
noticed
the
in
other.
Sedgwick County, they're showing their recoveries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you want me to report out,
I know we can't
You
do it
know,
on the
we
state
will.
level, but, at least we can let it know for our locals, so that they can.
Let the news media know so they can report it to everybody.
okay.
Yeah, I think it's getting done now.
Okay, I just kind of wanted, this is also my time for my quarterly update, so I'm gonna give you just a quick update. On the staffing here at the health department, obviously has changed some in Wanda, who is our part-time RN. Her hours have increased to full-time because she is undertaking much of the investigation and surveillance duties. She has been working, she works over the weekend just to check in on our disease reporting system. She'll check in twice a day, in the morning and the afternoon, and then proceed from there, whatever needs to be done. She also does the monitoring of all the contacts and the cases daily. So her time has increased from about, she usually worked 2 days a week, and now she's full-time. The immunizations that we're providing right now are the Tdap immunizations for adults with injuries, and those adults needing them for if they have a birth in the family, because that does have the pertussis in it. And oftentimes parents or grandparents are needing that shot because at some point they'll be in contact with the infant. We're also doing TB skin tests because people at times need them for employment, or sometimes they're needed for if individuals are placed on certain medications that they have to regularly have a TB skin test. So we are open for that. We plan to open for other immunizations, hopefully in May. We did have them scheduled, but a lot of people have canceled, so. And Jessica, who normally works, she does the billing for the immunization. Her immunizations have, obviously since the immunizations have decreased, her time has decreased also. The Erin, she has been working from home. She's the child care licensing surveyor and also the Safe Kids person. She is basically working about five hours a week as opposed to 18 to 20 hours per week. She's posting on Facebook, and she continues to support the child care providers through emails and phone calls. Sherry, our WIC dietitian, continues to come into the office 1 day a week to provide WIC support, which basically WIC is done without face-to-face encounters during this time. I just want to update you on the legislature appropriated an additional $900,000 to local health departments for the state formula grants for the state fiscal year 2021, which starts July 1st of this year and runs until June 30 of 2021. The former allocation base was $7,000, and that $7,000 was increased to $12,000. So our state formula funding went to $8,076 to $12,000. So that's a difference of $3,924, which is an increase of 48.59%. That state formula funding had not been increased for quite some time, and with the increased duties of the health department, they felt like it's time to increase. So the Kansas Association of Local Health Departments had been actively advocating for that increase. So and then I was just going to mention, there was a amount of money that was sent to the county, and through some research, it was figured out that it was through the CARE Act, and people who had billed Medicare got that funding. So now we have a formula how to estimate the portion of funding. So a large portion of that will go to the EMS department, and we will get some funding because we do some services for Medicare. So that's still in the works. As soon as Jess gets back, we'll know. And I know Jamie from EMS is working on figuring out how much of that goes to EMS and how much goes to the health department.
Deidre, the one other thing that I think we need to take address today is I know that the order on the county lake is running out. It is out today. I would be in favor of a snapback provision. So if we get some cases from the lake due to the lake, then we could snap that local use back into play.
So,
Not following you.
The lake had we made an order for it not to have out of county. It was
Right.
only allowable to our county residents. And it's expiring today.
Right.
So
Okay.
I was calling for that order to have a snapback provision only if we develop some cases from the lake.
Would we wanna
and
just
that's
extend it?
kind of what I was
I mean,
thinking
why do you
is
wanna
that
take a chance?
we would let that run out, cause as you know, there have been talks about kind of a slow release or a soft release back. There are some provisions, that before the government would rescind or release or stay-at-home orders. So at this point, I was not going to extend it, and unless, like you said, we start seeing cases as a result of that.
I just thought if we had something ahead of the game, then you would have the authority to snap it back into play if there was a case developed or whatever, so it wouldn't take, you could act immediately.
Okay,
I'm just concerned that if we leave it off, the county lake's gonna get overrun next weekend.
We need to extend it to
McPherson County Lake they're having a mess over there. It's overrun badly. And Chase County Lake, they're now, handing out fines if you're there.
I don't know, I think we need to.
I mean, I don't wanna keep
what
people
is
away, but
Is Isaac on the call?
Isaac is on, or he was, I guess.
Yeah, I
should-
think we need to keep Marion County clean if we can.
Yeah, I'm here.
Isaac, what are you feeling as far as, cause,
Right, so it's
outdoor activities are allowed. And I know the golf courses, and I believe someone said Hillsborough now
Yeah,
has
Hillsborough
opened.
has opened their golf course.
Correct.
What are your thoughts on, like, extending this, or,
Well, and I guess I was a little confused. Jonah, I thought the order that was put out for the lake ran through the end of April.
I'm pretty sure we set the date to the 20th.
looking at it too, because
You did for the closure of the county buildings, which we need to address today, but I don't remember what you did for the lake. It seems like it might be different, I'll take it up.
I thought it was the 20th because the original stay at home was only to the 19th by the governor.
yeah, the lake order is till April 30th.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, well then we'll just leave that alone.
So,
If we come to that though,
wow. And we extended,
Hold on one second.
mass gathering till April 30th also, so both.
I don't know who's on, it shouldn't be on.
somebody shredded something.
It's coming from Isaac's. Somehow Isaac's got some
Okay, I just
noise.
muted everyone. I'm trying to,
Okay,
okay.
so if it goes to the 30th, it's a non-issue right now. We'll leave the order alone. I was just gonna say I didn't wanna pop it back into play unless there's a reason to. Isaac keeps getting back.
Has there been a lot of issues?
No, I've been thinking about it
Okay.
for the past week and just, you know, we still need to come out of this eventually, so it's,
So do we
Isaac
have to
keeps
stick
getting on.
to the April 30th? Do we have to do that? I mean, I realize we had your, to the 30th, but do we have to do that? Jonah,
Say what?
do we have to stay with it to the 30th? I mean, I'm really worried about the economy in Marion.
Mhm.
It's falling apart.
Yeah.
I mean, and I realize the severity of this, but I mean, we gotta stop being afraid of our shadow.
Right.
Like Hillsborough, they opened up the golf area and stuff like
Right.
that.
And I honestly, what I thought about the order was to get people to slow down, to get them to stop and then start thinking about it, take it seriously. Once that achieves, now we can allow them to have some personal responsibility.
I was gonna say, don't you think after all this time and everything we've been through, people now recognize personal responsibility?
There's the people that do and there are the people that will never.
And you're gonna be faced with that. So what are you gonna do, kill the economy for the
Well,
ones that,
I'm also looking at it that the reservoir is never closed.
right,
I've seen boats go by and boats,
Mhm.
man, Isaac's got some issues.
yeah. I just feel as though, we're doing our community
Might
a
have to move it.
tremendous disservice by keeping everything closed, because if you can't get it here in Marion, you're gonna go someplace else,
Yeah.
that they're providing it.
Right.
I mean, you're not gonna
And-
sit at
and I
home and do
know
without.
that some that I know a few that we have closed down the county lake to have wound up just going to the reservoir.
The reservoir is closed. I mean, yeah, you
Well,
can put a
yeah.
boat on it, but there isn't any camping,
Camping.
anything.
Right, right, and that's what a lot of people that I've talked to are just talking about putting a boat on, and they're
Yeah.
planning on spending out their days in quarantine on a boat with their kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
So basically, we have one weekend left on that for that order. So I would prefer to let the order run through the 30th, and then we would go back to open it up. If we start seeing a cluster of cases, we may have to take other action. But my recommendation is to continue till the 30th.
and I'm fine. Isaac, you gotta get off or something.
He's being
Yeah.
attacked.
The, yeah, I'm not
Isaac,
for.
were you trying to say something?
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, you know, with the order, like you guys said, the reservoir's closed to camping. There's a lot of places that are closed to camping. And, I guess my question was, is when this order expires, May 1st, and if we got rid of that order, would that mean everything back to business as usual, or would there still be certain restrictions on certain things?
There would still be,
Because-
social distancing, there would still be certain things that we need to, you know, I think the social distancing is gonna go on for 4 or 5 months, you know, I think it's gonna go a while.
Right.
But you can still have, people be responsible for themselves and try to protect their neighbors and take this thing seriously at that point, so.
Right.
The camping, I don't know, we'll have to address that when we get there.
Yeah, because you can't do social distancing.
But as far as getting boats on the lake, I could
Yeah.
definitely see that happening by May.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Most of the social distancing orders are like May 1st, or ours is up April 30, like the mass gathering
Yeah.
orders. So everything will basically have to be re-looked at the middle of next week.
Okay. I see Randy with his mic on. I want to give him an opportunity to.
Yeah, thank you, John. Deidre, one concern of mine about County Lake, and I don't think it's true or anything about it's true, but is the number of cases we've had. Any of them, are they spread out through our county? Are they in a certain area in our county? Or yeah, I mean, everybody wants privacy, I understand that, but I think just some general knowledge here is nothing HIPAA violated or anything.
At this point, we are still investigating. The nurse is working with several other counties, and that's what I can tell you.
Thanks for that.
Which counties are we working with?
Did you wanna ask this question on the, we
Yeah.
got on the chat?
Yep, there is one question for Deidre, and I would go ahead with that. For the health department, how I know you've addressed this before, I believe. How are addresses that have a Newton zip but live in Marion County handled in the count? They are counted for Marion County, right?
Yes, if they live, like we have some Newton addresses who pay Marion County taxes, so they're considered a resident of Marion County. So those are counted as Marion County cases. So we usually ask, where do you, on those border county or border addresses, we ask, what county do you live in? And then that's where the person or cases get routed to. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
And that's always not determined like right away, but usually when the investigation starts, when we get in contact with the client or the individual, then that's one of the first questions, and counties will shift them. We can transfer them within the system, and then we always get, either we get the phone call if they're our county resident, or we call the other county and say, look, these are your individuals, and then they follow through.
John?
Yep, Randy.
I guess my question to Deidre was in related to the county lake, is if 3 of our 5 cases are from the county lake, would that be considered a cluster?
Yes.
That would be considered a cluster. When we have 2 cases or 2 from a same like facility, that would be considered a cluster or an outbreak. And that's what we've always used when we've had anything like pertussis or measles. When there's 2 in one facility or one, I guess you'd call it a facility, then that is considered a cluster or an outbreak. And those would be investigated as such.
Well, my reason being is,
They have to have the confirmation. You know, they have to be confirmed, like I mentioned before, by the PCR at this point. Now, I'm not saying that tomorrow there might be a new test that is approved for use, and we'll start using that as confirmed.
okay, would 2 or 3 cases from one of our cities be a cluster?
Probably not necessarily, because if they weren't tied together,
Okay.
then they wouldn't be. Like, you could have, you know, two different individuals who never met. I mean, who had never, don't have any same stream, like, I don't wanna even put an example using anybody, cause I don't want it to get out. You know, say like you have business A has a person that is positive, and business B has a person that's positive, but they are in no way related, so they wouldn't be a cluster. Even though they're in the same town, they wouldn't be a cluster. Now, if we had 2 in business A that were confirmed positive, that would be a cluster, and we would start doing some work with that business. And KDHE would kind of say, okay, now that facility, private business, or that facility would be added to a list of clusters. And then the county would be identified in that, at that time.
Okay.
And I think if we had a cluster in a business, you guys would know about it, because employees talk, and, you know, we aren't that big.
Okay. Is there anything else for Deidre out of the board, or? Okay. So I guess unless you have anything else to add, Deidre, I'll go ahead and move on to Randy.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Just a few things here. Between now and May 3rd, Governor Kelly will be working with KDM, Kansas Division of Emergency Management, and other agencies on her plan to reopen the state. And it'll be based on a regional approach. The first thing that needs to happen is there needs to be a show of sustainable decrease for 14 days before they can start the plan. There's no timeline just yet. We're hoping that here in a couple of weeks she'll bring that out and start doing that. As far as the plan, all emergency managers across the state have reached out to the governor's office asking for more details so we can push it out to our counties. Folks want to know what's going on, and they said they'd release it, so we're hoping for that to show up here within the next few days. One thing that we need to remember here in Kansas, that we're still actively in a response phase. We are not in the recovery phase yet. On another hand, we provided information to the food shelves to receive a $5,000 grant from the Latter-day Saint Church, and we're also working with FEMA and KDM with public assistance for the other food, for help out food shelves during this time, so folks who might need some extra help there. Later this week, I'll be beginning the first steps in the reimbursement program with the FEMA's public assistance grant. We'll start that process. Last week, Tina helped us out a little bit with doing an application for PTE through the Central Kansas Community Education. She couldn't help put that together. Thank you. We continue to meet with the local governments, the medical providers, schools, and go to meetings to discuss their issues. As we all know, the SBA is broke. Small Business Administration is broke. They went through over $400 billion already. They're requesting up to $400 billion more in disaster loans and as a paycheck protection program. So if your business within your communities have not applied for the loan and they want to apply for it, don't let them be discouraged. They still need to apply for it, because when the money comes back into the system, they'll be in the system already and they'll start working the process. Just one final note, because Kansas was the first state to close some schools due to the pandemic, and they were required to develop continuous learning plans, educators from around the country are asking us how to do it. So we've set a standard, at least with the education program. That's all I have.
That's good. Alright, commission have anything else for Randy? Okay, thank you, Randy. We'll move on to Bryce.
Okay.
What? Is there anything?
Oh, administrative.
Alright, I'm here.
You skipped me, but it's
Oh,
okay.
sorry.
It's no, it's fine. We can do it later.
Okay, yeah. We'll have to return back to administrative business, but just gonna go ahead and get the field transport bids from Bryce.
Yeah, Epps was low bid on transfer.
Wow, figures got to be a lot less.
Okay. Randy, I don't know if Randy can see it.
Oh, sorry, yeah, he doesn't.
Pull my camera on.
Yes.
Let me do this here. Maybe.
I mean, oh, you're,
I don't know if you can see that, Randy.
Yeah, I will just abstain from this. You've got 4
Okay.
people there to make a decision on low vote.
Okay.
Just go ahead. Yes.
I'm gonna make a motion to. I'm gonna make a motion to go with Bryce's recommendation on the low bid of $9,246.10.
Second.
Got a second by Ken. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Randy abstains, vote with majority. Okay. Looks like there's some FYI information in here.
Yeah, the second thing I had would come from last week. You were out asking for, basically bids and numbers for the equipment that I was talking about last week. The first one on that bid is for the flail mower. I've got 2 pictures of the ones, the first 2 there, with the IR erosion control has the Ventura trim. The second one is a John Deere. It's what they call a SNAS brand. Honestly, I like the Ventura trim mower better, simply because if you look at the pictures with the 3-point mount, the Ventura looks much more structurally sound than what the one with the SNAS is. Basically, everything on that SNAS is based on that outside, everything hanging on that outside, and with the Ventura, it's mounted to both arms on the 3-point. So I feel that would hold up so much better than the John Deere, and like to have approval for that.
Price-wise difference?
Looking at about
$2,375. All of them have a 1-year warranty. I'm sorry, Randy, I didn't know that you weren't gonna be there today, but I got this to you.
Okay.
The other thing about the Iowa, you got an 85 versus a 79, which is only 6 inches more, but.
Right, yeah, they're all very comparable, but.
Bryce, do you happen to have this on your computer where you could just shoot a quick email to Randy so we have it in front of him?
I text Randy a picture of it.
Okay.
Look at his phone.
I could scan it real quick and send it to him if you want me to do that.
Oh, we can do that from here. I just thought maybe you had it already on there where you could just push a button and send it to him.
No, I didn't, I just copied them.
Okay.
Randy, would you want that?
No, that's fine. I just want to know what the price difference was.
Okay.
Okay, as far as a flail mower, is there Any other discussion about that?
Would it be okay just to read these things into the meeting? So
Okay.
that people on the call that don't have the information can hear?
We have the Iowa Erosion Control Ventura Trim Pro 85-inch cut. Actually, I'm gonna let Bryce read it in.
Okay, it's from Iowa Erosion Control, we have a Ventura Trim Pro 225. It has an 85-inch cut. Comes with a 1-year warranty, approximately 6 weeks for delivery. Would be $13,575 delivered. From John Deere, they have a Samass KB RP 200, has a 79-inch cut with a 1-year warranty, and they estimate June 1st delivery. That would be $11,200 delivered. And we have a third one from Tiger. It's a Tiger RBF-2C-80. Has an 80-inch cut, 1-year warranty. They did not state a delivery time, and it was $20,088.90 delivered. And again, I would like to recommend the Ventura trim from Iowa Erosion Control because I think it would hold up better.
Thank you, Dave. I've got a copy of it, Dave.
Okay.
Okay.
Entertain a motion.
Well, Bryce, when we were talking last week, you were talking about not exceeding 50,000, right?
Yeah, between these two, it's going to be right at the $50,000 mark with the tractor that I'm requesting.
All right, well, why don't you go ahead and read off the tractors and,
Okay.
that way we get the whole thing.
Okay. Tractors, I went, tried to find everything local I could. GNR Equipment in Durham, they have a 1992 white 170F, basically front wheel drive tractor. Only has 5,255 hours. It's in excellent shape. Has duals on it. It's at the Durham lot. It's 170 horsepower, and they are asking $36,900 for that. From Lane Diesel, they had a 1996 white 6175 multi-front wheel drive. Tractor has 10,822 hours. It also has duals. It's in Smith Center. It has a loader attached, which is not needed. It's 175 horsepower, and they have $35,900 on that. Third, Can Equip. The first one, the 08, has been sold. They found that out over the weekend. They have an International 5488. No hours, no year on it. It had 3564 hours. It does have duals, but it's not the multi-front wheel drive that we were looking for. It's in Wamego. It's 165 hours, but it's only 15,900. But again, it doesn't have that front wheel drive assist, which is going to be crucial. They also have a Case IH 7240 multi-front wheel drive, 6,122 hours. Doesn't mention on the duals. It's in Garden City. It has an attached loader, which is not needed. And it's 195 horse for 52,900. And finally, John Deere has a 1997 John Deere 8100 tractor. In Concordia, has 9,670 hours, has duals, 160 horsepower, and it's 49,000. And they also have a 99 John Deere 8300 with 12,000 hours, has duals in Emporia, and it looks kind of rough on the pictures, but it's 200 horsepower for 38,000. Everything that I've looked at or whatever else, I like the GNR Equipment, the 92 Ford, 92 white, the best, lowest hours, and I mean the tractor's in excellent shape. It's been taken care of, obviously being almost 30 years old and only has 5,000 hours. So between that and the Ventura, that would put me at what, 50,475. So.
Yeah.
So Bryce, I noticed that at Can Equip you have an International 5488 and the hours on it are only 3,500. And the price is substantially less.
It doesn't have the front wheel assist.
Okay, I see that.
Yes.
Is that gonna really
Yeah.
be that, I mean, for the price difference, the fact that you don't have the front wheel assist, is that terrible?
It will be.
Well, I do know when we start pulling that disc and rebuilding roads that may be wet, that front wheel assist is gonna be tremendously more effective. Because the problem is when you start pulling too much on a regular tractor, it's gonna start, it could pull the front wheels off the ground, and so that's why we want to kind of, because our two mowing tractors, that multi front wheel assist makes a world of difference when you're up and down the slopes.
Okay.
Well, I'm definitely all for supporting GNR local.
Well, it's being that, you know, it came in just a hair over the 50,000. I guess I'll go ahead and make a motion to purchase the Iowa Erosion Control flail mower and the white 170F front wheel assist tractor.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Kent and a second by Dave. Is there any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's Randy. 5-0. Okay.
There's a question, I don't know if you want to accept a question from the public at this time.
Bryce, I guess, and just to address this real fast, how often will this tractor be used each year, and has the county looked into leasing a tractor?
Well, as far as the tractors being used, we plan on putting this out on our rebuild crew to spend all summer working on that as much as we can. We plan to use in the wintertime the biggest thing that's gonna be beneficial is with the dozer is pushing the material out onto the roadway and being able to dry it up. So it's gonna be used, substantially through the summer. It's also available that if we needed to and didn't have to use the big pulling power, we can drop the duals off there and use it more as a regular tractor, whether that would be on another mower or something to that effect. So we have that versatility to do that. It's gonna be used as much as most of our tractors, mostly during the summer when it comes to those operations, but as big as this is, we have the capability to use it all year long, as big as it is. Second of all, as far as leasing a tractor, basically leasing a tractor would be going out and buy a new one. And if we were to go out and buy a new one like this, we'd probably looking at minimum $150,000. And I know what we talked about last week was we were trying to keep costs low on big ticket items as much as possible. So I didn't even really go out and try to find prices on new tractors.
Right. Okay.
I know in the past on items, trucks and such, we've done lease purchases. Would this be something the commission would be interested in? I mean, it's a good way to maintain liquidity, and right now rates are just rock bottom.
I think on this item, I would be more for just doing one drop purchase.
Yeah, I think we're encumbering too much cash for the future if we keep financing everything we're gonna buy.
I can see it on some bigger ticket items.
Well, it's just
Yes.
in the budgetary process, you're gonna find out that lease purchases work real well budget-wise, because you know what you got.
Yeah, you don't have the swings, you don't have the ups and downs.
So, I'm okay with it either way, but, I think we need to look at those kind of things, because, we gotta look at this tax revenue issue coming up.
Maybe we could stop spending so much, that would help too.
Well, we may have to, we may be forced to.
That wouldn't be a bad deal.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you, Bryce. Is there anything else?
Okay. No, that's all I had, unless you guys have something for me.
Anybody else? Randy? Okay.
No.
All right,
Okay.
then we're gonna go ahead and
Thanks.
move on. Thanks, Bryce. All right, so we're going to go back to administrative business right quick and make sure we get that handled and taken care of.
Okay.
So,
Unless you wanna put it off until the end?
No, it's just-
Okay, I don't think I have a whole lot, and we'll try to move quickly. One of the things is, and probably the most important is, you know, we had addressed the closure of the county offices through today, and so we need a decision on moving forward, what we're going to do.
I think that's, we've developed a system that people can still get stuff done, and we just stay that course rather than bouncing back and forth for a while until there's a real good feeling of it all clear.
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we extend it till May 4th. It's a Monday, isn't it?
Yes.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
5-0.
In your packet, you had the revised storage lot lease. You all had approved that previously. We just were waiting for the specific legal language. That has been taken care of. I wanted to be sure and provide you a copy of it. You also have several reports. Let's see. Just a notification. Everything in your packet, most of it was just for informational purposes. So you've seen that. If you have questions, let me know. We had a little incident with a vehicle. It was turned into insurance at the health department, and it's below our deductible, so there's, you know, that's being fixed. And you've got your clerk's
There's
reports.
other vehicles in Marion currently being hit the same way.
Yeah, or even different, they're getting Cadillac converters cut off and they're,
Yeah, there's a lot of.
Taking a big risk drilling holes in gas tanks.
yeah.
Might cause atomic explosions.
No. As long as it's full, they're okay. It's when they hit an empty one, they get in trouble.
How do they know?
I have the minutes of April 13th.
Okay. Has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Is there any questions or concerns with the minutes? If not, I will make a motion to sign the minutes. Approval.
I'll second.
Second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Here's this.
Okay, Randy.
Oh.
Randy? Are you still?
Yes, I am.
Okay. 5-0.
Okay. We have one early check. This is to Post Velocity. It's out of the appraiser's fund, and this is for the prepaid postage that has to be paid on their PPVNs for some property evaluation notice, I believe is what that's for. And then we'll have another bill from them after they actually do the mailing, but they require an upfront payment for a portion.
Authorization from Randy to,
No, I don't think so, because we have everyone else that's here, so.
I was just wondering if it came down to it, that we'd have to all stay home. Would we have to authorize for signatures?
That's a
Since
good
you're
Brad
here.
question. I think what you probably could do would be to take a motion and vote to authorize the expenditure and to authorize the, use of the chairman's stamp on it, or the stamps of the commissioners.
Just hypothetical here, you know, so say outbreak gets worse, we all gotta stay home, we can't really be doing this anymore, groups of 2 or more are probably prohibited. In a situation like Randy is right now, I was asking, would we get a authorization virtually for his signature?
Signature? Mm-hmm.
Or,
Or stamp.
or would we take a vote, like Tina says, and just use the chairman?
You could do it either way. if there's an authorization with a stamp, that is permissible. The other way is also you delegate to the chair in that instance, on those kinds of things, the chair can do that as well.
Okay. 'Cause-
Randy, on this particular invoice, you had a copy in your packet. Do you want me to use your stamp?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
Yes.
that's recorded, so.
okay, thank you. All right, we have the second estimate for payment, request for payment on the transfer station project. And the total amount due for this estimate is $212,308.90.
Everybody had a chance to review that pay estimate? Any questions or concerns with it?
Does this include any of our contaminated soil?
Yeah,
Engineering?
CO2, change order 2, additional work
Mhm.
performed. I don't know, I'll have to look and see.
I don't know that we have
It's-
approved the change order since we moved it to a land farm, a
Right.
different location. So we've never got that number, so they can't include it on this contract. They would have to. Oh dear. Amber alert. Everybody's getting them.
It works.
So we have an Amber alert.
From Nebraska.
Oh, from Nebraska.
Look for a
Okay.
2009 white Ford Expedition. Keep your eyes open.
Okay.
We'll see.
So what you're saying is it's not included in this?
You know,
This
it
is-
would not be in the total amount yet.
No,
It would have to, the change order would have to.
I wanna hear from Randy Purdue before I vote to pay it.
Well, it shows what work has been done on here, so you have mobilization, construction staking, there's demolition, clearing and grubbing, excavation, and then concrete retaining walls down here at 7.1,
I'll do
and
this.
plans. It does show that additional work performed from change order 2 at 20,561.
I have no problem approving it. I mean, it's pretty much what we expected.
If not, I can get Cody on the phone or whatever to validate some of this.
Yeah, 'cause you'd almost thought that would've been a new, broke out somehow different.
Well, I thought we did have the change order with the,
We did, but I don't think we've had because it was initially, for us to take it out to our location, south of town, trucking and everything, it was gonna be $37,000.
So we probably haven't got a bill for this
Yeah,
yet.
so we haven't approved a change order for
They
the
just-
reduction because we took it
They just
another
finished
direction.
last week.
Randy, do you have anything to add to that? Am I stating that correctly?
Yeah, I believe so, but I think I'm have to agree with Ken here. Everybody needs to be on board and something's presented to us, I think. Even though Randy Purdue has signed, correct?
Yeah.
yes.
But
I guess I'd kinda like to know what part of that
What's that?
is included in there, in that bill.
Can you get him on the phone here?
Should we see a special bill for that 20,000?
Additional work, here you go, additional work performed,
Right. It's-
additional work performed, 20,561.75, right there at the very bottom.
Right.
Right, but they wouldn't be billing
Yes.
for that piece. That is another change order prior to the land farm, isn't it?
I don't think so.
I
Because
wouldn't
it,
think we'd have any information on that yet.
yeah, I don't think
We've
we
only
would.
had 2 change orders, I believe.
Right,
And
I think that would be change order 3, and then that would have to adjust the contract amount.
Well, yeah,
Based on normal AIA forms,
that's gonna adjust the contract up,
yeah, it will adjust the contract up.
but
I thought the first change order was, okay, first change order was a reduction because of the
Reduction because of
electrical.
electrical.
Second change order was the, concrete footings. So that's what this would be.
Yeah.
this is the concrete footings.
We've only had a bid hauling the dirt.
Right, and we didn't
didn't use
went a
it.
different
And
route.
what was his estimate on taking that concrete out? I thought it was less than that.
14,000, wasn't it?
Well, that's what I was thinking, we were 14,000, and now we got 20.
All right.
No, it was,
Maybe I may be thinking of
It was,
something else.
it was combined, wasn't it? Wasn't 15,000 and plus engineering?
I wish I knew when.
We had to have engineering to take the concrete out?
Yes.
Remember, there was separate
Got a
change
ratio,
orders
right?
that got approved, all in a bulk amount of about $20,000.
Just gotta stand there and watch it.
It seems like it was 26, up to 24,000 for just the contractor, and then with engineering on top of it is what I recall, but,
Yeah. Somebody needs to explain what's going on there.
let's see. That is the discussion about the land. We can bring this back another day too.
Okay. What would
I
everybody?
just thought it was a routine matter, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was until you see something that says additional.
Well, I believe that was for the, foundations.
Pocket change.
Yeah.
Right. I can hold him.
You wanna table it,
I
or,
would,
or do you wanna go ahead and take action?
I'm actually of the belief that until we get the change order, it doesn't up the contract amount. So we are paying for the, prior to that change order, we're not paying.
Yeah, change order is the only way that you can change your
Contract amount.
estimates.
You can't watch something with $20,000, what do we get for that?
Well,
I believe that's the pier removals.
Change order two, okay, so this was from March 31st. Change order two, reflecting additional charges to excavate the unknown footings in the amount of $20,561.75
Okay.
was presented for approval. And so that's what you're paying for here,
Okay.
okay? It's not for the land farm.
Okay.
And then I think at that same meeting, additional fill in land farm contaminated soil, what the estimate was 37,048.
And they had assured me it would be less. How much less, don't know.
Right.
That's gotta be, that's.
Yeah.
So that would be probably on our
Don't
next
expect
change
a great
order,
amount.
so.
Right, less trucks and less miles.
Okay, so does that clarify?
Yes.
Okay,
thank you.
great.
I'm ready to go.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve $212,308.90.
I'll second it.
You got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Randy's
we saw
mic's
Randy's,
off.
we saw his mouth move.
Yeah, I seen his mouth move, but his mic was off. So, okay, 5-0.
Okay. Then I'll have you sign this, please.
Yeah. Date estimate approved by commission.
Today, that'd be 4/20.
Yeah, I don't know, I just wonder why I gotta write it twice. Kinda funny.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, I usually fill it in.
So,
We have a notice that we need to send the township board. We received a new application on Friday for the Last Chance Beach Shop cereal malt beverage license, and that has to actually be signed by the chairman and then sent to the township board for their period of,
okay, what was the issue? I remember this taking place a while back. I just don't want to sign something that's.
well, this is the process we need to do.
Okay.
She's applying for a new license now, so
Okay.
we have to do this on every one.
Okay.
We had a situation before where, we had the license and
Made
then,
things ineligible.
yes,
Yeah.
we had an issue with it,
Yeah.
so we had to redo. But
So,
you just sign on the line that says chairman unless the board has any objections to doing that.
Randy?
Has Brad run through that, Tina?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Good? Everybody's okay with the, I'll make a motion that I sign this notice to township board.
Yes.
Got a second?
Second.
Second by Diane. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Right?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you. We'll get that out today.
There's a public comment for the administrator.
Okay, I just wanna see if I had any other admin.
Uh-huh.
I think in your packet, you also had information on from the Department of Aging, and then that's all I had. In your, let's see, that's all I have for admin.
Okay. And we're gonna jump back into it. Unless anybody else has any administrative items. Okay. Jump back into it to the commission recycling discussion. What was it, last week or the other week before, I said I'd rather talk about extra billing, and I see Larry's on there. Extra billing rather than talk about cancellation. I'd rather see it go on that side of the coin than the other side of the coin. But the other discussion that we probably need to have in order to come up with a good resolution to this is the solid waste fee enough? Because that's gonna come into your calculation on how you bill for recycling.
I think we can't do anything right now, under the governor's mandate.
Right, yeah, we can't.
We can talk about it,
Yeah,
but
we
we
can't.
can't really act on it.
Randy?
I lost on what part you're on. Cut out for a little bit.
Recycling.
We're on the recycling, and we were talking about it. Due to the governor's mandate, I believe we are obligated to keep it going anyway, but the talk was, is our solid waste fee enough, even though we can't change anything right now? Because that would come into play on a calculation of what to charge for recycling. Because through our solid waste, we are handling our transport and our tonnage, and that would need to come off of any kind of over and above bill that we would have for recycling. That's my thoughts only. I'm not saying that's.
When does that come up for renewal?
We'll need to be adopting a resolution probably next month or we try to do it by June 1st to set the solid waste fee for the next year. And I did discuss this a little bit with Brad. Of course, he's out of the room at the moment because you would need to be a little bit careful depending on how you want to try to fund it. You could, if you feel like your solid waste assessment fee isn't enough to cover it, you could do that and apply that equally across the whole county. He also said you could enter some specific agreements with certain cities, but you can't just necessarily, you'd have to be a little bit careful on how you do all of those things to be fair. And
I'd kinda like to know, and maybe it's not even possible, I mean, what percentage of our recycling is coming from the two cities that bring it to us? I'm just, my own guess is there's not a lot of recycling coming from the rural areas. I mean, there is some, I'll get that, but I'm guessing the large majority is coming from Hillsborough and Marion.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that, I know that certain places have communal dumpsters.
Right.
And so some of the outer areas are bringing it in to those pickup points, I know.
So, I mean, it'd be kinda hard to say, well, Hillsborough and Marion, you're gonna have to pick up the most of this
Right.
cost. But I'm sure most of a majority of it's coming from the two cities.
well, in regard to the order as well, I don't believe we're not gonna not allow people to bring it, but it doesn't say where it has to go, so I don't think you would necessarily have to keep hauling it to a recycling facility.
Okay.
But you can't, we're not gonna just say, no, we won't pick up, or we won't accept.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, if we start sending it to landfill, then, you know, we've got issues with all the investment that Hillsborough and Marion's made into recycling. Which
Yeah.
kinda,
I don't think Marion's invested much in it.
yeah, I don't know, but Hillsborough's invested a lot.
Yeah, a lot. I was part of those discussions.
Yeah.
I guess, it's just something that we need to think about and moving forward. I don't know that
Can you have
we should do anything.
can we have a solid waste assessment fee and a recycling fee? Or does that have to be
That's a great question.
incorporated?
Come back in at the right
Do you have
time.
any thoughts on that, Brad?
No, I think you can, depending upon how they're defined. You're obviously not wanting to double dip on it, but depending upon what you're funding with it, well, it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, my thought goes to the solid waste is already handling, your trucking, it's
Yeah.
already handling a certain amount per tonnage for disposal into landfill. So you would need to subtract that from your recycling in order to be fair. I mean, because you're already getting paid to get rid of those tons.
But they're
whether-
serving two different purposes, so
Yeah.
that's why I don't see a problem with it. One, solid waste, you're putting it into a landfill, and it's not necessarily being considered for anything except compost
Yeah.
someday.
Can I ask you to be a little closer to the microphone so people on the call can hear you?
You could, but then they would. Anyway, so you can do it that way, and then recycling obviously has a separate purpose. So I don't see any issue with that. I don't disagree, you probably wanna make sure you're not double dipping it on those fees when it's being picked up, but don't we, well, right now, we don't do it that way. But in a lot of jurisdictions, they have the separate recycling truck anyway, and so all of that is automatically separated.
It's just that,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Randy.
if you look at our state statutes of what we're assigned to do,
Yeah,
we're only assigned to take care of the trash. This recycling has been strictly a volunteer deal done by the commission.
Okay.
So, even though we all want it, we all know it, I mean, and things are happening here, and it is sad that we thought it would go forever, and it's not.
right.
So, our basic things that we have to accomplish is to get rid of the trash. Now, if we take the cost out of that, like you mentioned a second ago or so, I think, I don't know, that's not part of the recycling deal. That is a volunteer thing done by this county commission. So I just want to get that across, that's, our state statute says, we just have to take care of the trash, am I not right, Fred?
I think you are, yes, in that particular instance.
Is there anything that binds us, during the stay order? I know that the cities, I believe, are for sure being bound to maintain their services. But maybe I need to ask for one of the
Trash
city
services
administrators. Huh?
You gotta pick up the trash.
Yeah,
no, in that mandate, it said recycling.
I'm-
Trash, they had trash and recycling, separate words. So to
Okay.
me, you're gonna have to maintain the trash and the recycling under the mandate.
Yeah, because they're all collectively part of
Right.
waste disposal.
the,
I just, going forward, I just don't know how we're gonna be able to fund this thing, because, I mean, we already got a portion of the county that has contracts with Waste Connection. So those folks are paying monthly or quarterly or whatever they do to Waste Connection. Now they're paying, and they're also paying the solid waste
Right.
fee. And
Yeah.
it's trash is getting to be a pretty costly
Yeah.
thing.
Well, and that's where I was going with, was this is a solid waste fee enough? So that way you can take that value and subtract it from a recycling fee that you would have. You know, because technically it's already being paid, it's just So you don't wanna be double dipping and making them pay for all the recycling plus the solid waste fee.
That's a good question at budget time, when we look at new budget, see how we come out for the year, transfer station.
So, yeah, I don't intend for us to take any action today, cause I don't know what's up in the air. But
I just don't, I mean, the way I read that mandate, I don't see we can do anything until May 4th or whatever that mandate goes to.
I think the recycling centers can't shut down.
Okay. I'm going to, actually, just to clear it up, if it's all right with the board, I see that Roger's on and I see Larry's on, and I know they've got some background in that. If the board's all right, let them.
It says we have to continue.
Okay.
Yeah, when we were looking back through that, they specify, break it out, and then even repeat it again as to any existing, supersedes any existing orders we might have. Because some of the cities and counties have a circumstance and they spell it out in their enabling ordinance for when they might suspend recycling. This basically just says, no, for right now, you're stuck with what you got. So, yeah, great. Reading that through.
Yeah,
so.
and I guess it's a pretty good point that is
There
if,
is no cutoff date.
No, that although, given the legislature's gotta get involved after May 1st, we're gonna have a kind of an automatic one.
right,
A lot of this.
and that, we can't really do anything now, but, you know, when the topic does come back up and arise, it's just, like I said, well, if we took all the recycling in and we sent it to the landfill, we would still be covered in the solid waste fee. So that part needs to be minused out from anything extra.
When I had sent the invitation to the cities, I thought that you had wanted to get their input on the topic.
Mhm.
So are you going to just?
Yeah, I would
Call that.
Correct.
I would appreciate the, if, you know, either Roger would like to say something or Larry, or any other, I don't know that I see any mayors on.
Just put it to the public, are they willing to spend $10 more a month to recycle?
It's probably a lot less than that, but I'm thinking,
As long as we have a place to go with it.
yes,
But when we're
yes.
stuck doing what we're doing now.
We have a place to go with it, it just costs, it's
Yeah,
dearly
we
Well,
don't-
that's what I'm
taken.
saying, is $10 enough? If we have a place to go with it, $10 might be enough. But if we have to pay these fees that we're paying now, maybe not.
Not sure, so,
And they may get worse.
oh, we got Josh online here. Josh.
I finally got a bill from Stutzman, and I figured it out real quick. They are charging us $120 a ton.
Dang,
That's not what they told me, of course, that was 2 months ago, they told me $98.50.
Yeah, I know that,
Wow.
but that's the bill I got. I figured it come out to 120.
You might call them and
It can't be a
ask them about, you know, 2 months ago when we negotiated this and we were told $98.50. I mean, it's probably not much we can do, but I'd just like to let them know.
Yeah.
Probably surcharges on that.
Mr. Chairman,
Well,
yes,
who knows?
yes, Randy.
Tina, he was correct. That's what we wanted to hear from. Most cities have got extra cost in picking it up too.
Yeah,
So that's what we was talking about when we mentioned the cities, which is exactly what Tina said. So, you know, look at their cost. Maybe they might get rid of the cost.
When that was negotiated several months ago, there was no confirmation or lock-in on that price,
No, we didn't sign anything, it just worded, just,
what they were quoting.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we know it can't be
because
fuel.
we, at that time, see, we were moved back to Fort
Right.
Riley.
Exactly.
And then, of course, when the pandemic started, Fort Riley shut down.
Yeah.
So we'd only hauled up there a few loads maybe.
right.
But their fuel costs, this one ought to be low enough.
Yeah.
Absorb part of it.
I just,
That seems awfully high.
Something to think about
It
too,
is.
to be
That's
fair.
what the city of McPherson, we possibly could have hauled it over to McPherson's transfer station, and I think that's probably about what they would have charged us. And then they move it
Okay.
on to.
Yeah.
Market will bear.
Roger, see that you're unmuted, are you wanting to say something?
If I could, please.
Yes, please.
From the city's perspective, we do have citizens that would like to see recycling occur. At the same time, when the discussion came up regarding an additional ad valorem based tax, I've got landlords that are concerned that they will be absorbing all of the increased cost. So our encouragement would be, if necessary to go to a voluntary participation, we need to define a structure that charges the participants directly and not across the board increase in ad valorem taxes. Those are the two positions that have been shared with me recently.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say about that, Brad?
It's just difficult to do. Newton's just been through that process, and the cost was so astronomical to continue recycling, but they had the exact same thing. A number of people are used to it. This is a number of years now that we've had that in place, and they didn't want a lot of those folks who were used to doing it, and also were asking that it continue to be offered, to not have that option. So what they did was send out a letter in our case that they're charging all of us a fee. It's obviously a little less spread over all of the users of the waste disposal system. And you can opt in or opt out. If you opt in, they're watching it pretty carefully and indicating, hey, if you screw this up, you get a kind of a one shot at it deal. We send you a warning letter if you've got a bunch of plastic bags or other kinds of non-recyclable items in there. If we see a second occurrence for that kind of a problem, we'll suspend your ability to recycle for a period of time. And that's ultimately what they did, but the part that's germane here is they decided to charge all of us the same amount. They raised it. It's like $1 something a month, but everybody pays it. Whether you choose to use it or not is your business, but you're gonna pay it whether you use it or not. And that gets back to the concern that's being expressed here for landlords.
So you'd have to build a database based on, because I mean, the county would not have all that information.
Right.
The cities would have to work on that with the county in order to provide names, all these names of people that are renters, because
Yeah.
we don't do any business with them.
That's my concern, is just how we get it all done. I mean, it's,
Well, and we're not picking it up. The county is not
Right.
picking it up.
Right,
So I
so-
think that,
The cities are providing a service.
probably have to vest there. I don't know how else we do it.
Okay, Larry, are you on? Larry Payne?
Was Roger done?
Oh, Roger, are you finished? Okay. Larry?
I'm sorry, yes, I am. I just was doing the quick math, however, based on the tonnage of recycling last year from my community, the county is paying $14,640, assuming the $120 rate that Josh just mentioned. That same tonnage of 122 tons, you're also paying the El Dorado landfill, and I apologize, I do not know what the current rate is that you're paying for landfill.
It's around $40.
Tipping fee.
Okay, so it would be $8,000 a year approximately that would need to be allocated to the consumers in my case.
Right.
I don't know how you figure that for the county.
That's how I was alluding to it. It's a discussion for later, I understand. It's just, it's never hurts to start thinking about things before. Okay, I would like to give Larry a little time to speak on the issue if he's got anything to add. Voice is not coming through. I'm gonna go ahead
He may not have his computer audio. Oh, I think maybe he.
John,
yeah.
what's the percentage of trash out of your house versus the other people's houses and everybody's house? We're still assigned to take care of the trash. You can't take a ton out of recycle of that. If you still have trash.
Right, you still have trash, and that's what I was getting at, is you still have a solid waste fee that covers that same recycling. The only difference is the recycling is costing more than the tipping fee. That's the imbalance. So, Larry is on here, hopefully I got the volume enough. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Put it right in front of the microphone.
All right, yep.
Am I muted?
I don't know, I've got my phone up to the mic and you on speaker.
Okay, well,
We're gonna work through this.
I think what we're doing at this point is our recycling fee is built into our regular sanitation collection fee, and up until your last problem with where to take it, we were looking at having continuing to have the recycling fee as being part of the sanitation. Now, I'm going to have to do a whole sanitation rate study here within the next couple of days to figure out, whether or not that makes sense still. But I'm thinking that in the context of how our rates and revenues have been, we'll be able to continue to do that within our current rate structure. Now, my guess is that the amount of money we were paying the person in area solid waste is, in the neighborhood of $30,000 plus every year. So, given that, we might be able to do that within the existing funding structure that we've got currently. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. So, we, all right, like I said, we can't do anything about the issue now. But it's some food for thought. I know this issue hasn't died ever since I've taken the seat. I know it's gonna keep coming back up. I wanna come up with a solid solution that keeps it from having to be a discussion other than a budgetary item. That's where I am on it, and I don't know, unless anybody else has anything else to say, I'm gonna move on. Okay. Now I'm gonna move on to the commission. County city support for small businesses. This was an item that I heard from Kent, and I thought it was a really forward-looking, let's get ahead of this, let's think about it.
Well, I've been thinking about it some, and then I think you all, I don't know, did you get the email from Roger Holter? He
Yeah.
kind of addressed some of those same kind of concerns. And somewhere down the line, once we get out of this mandate, I don't know, if it might make some sense to put together a county leadership, Marion, and community leadership meeting, just to kind of see, you know, what kind of direction we can head it as a county as a whole. You know, this is all uncharted for everybody, but I'm really concerned about small businesses in this county. We've all, and what bothers me a lot is, you know, we've all been accustomed to doing a lot of online stuff just because we don't have to leave home. I mean, yeah, I think we're supporting the businesses that are open. You know, I think the county's, people in the county are doing a great job doing that, but, are our mom and pop businesses that don't have, aren't on the web, are they gonna be able to survive without an online presence? You know, there's just questions like that. You know, I don't have the answer for all of that, but
It's,
you know, businesses as we've known it, it's gonna be, let's face it, it's gonna be different.
Changing.
unless we were to offer some sort of assistance for them to get somebody to help them get online, we couldn't dictate that to them.
No, and we, you know, I'm just, you know, we've got this marketing money, this transient guest tax, which doesn't amount to much, but it has to be used for marketing.
And that is valid, because that would be tourism.
Would that be a
online
valid
promotion.
use for transient guest tax as marketing?
It has to be tourism-related businesses though, so it wouldn't be available to like,
Yeah,
for
not
a
across-
manufacturer.
Not across the board, right?
Yeah.
No, but you know, these mom and pop businesses, they cater to people that come into the county, whether it's food service or, you know, whatever it is.
That's
I re-
somewhat of a stretch, wouldn't you think?
Well,
If you use
Well,
it across
when
the
you
board.
tour, you still eat somewhere, so.
You know, we've changed a little bit in terms of interpretations on a lot of things, like this payroll protection thing and what the government is now allowing us to do. That transient guest tax is primarily hospitality forms of entities. Well, what is that?
Yeah.
If you've got someone who comes here and stays at the hotel, but, you know, the hotel, I think, still serves the breakfast if they've got enough people, but
Not anymore.
not anymore. That's just wrong. I was like that.
Too
But,
much
you know, they
work.
have to eat somewhere else, or they, you know, they've gotta go find other types of things, groceries or whatever it may be. So how far do you stretch it? I don't know. I
But
don't
how
know.
about auto parts and other, I mean, you got all facets of
Yeah,
business.
I know.
Not just restaurants and
I know.
stuff like that, I mean.
It's tough for us to go that far. I guess I'd have to do a little bit of inquiry to see how far we can stretch that, or if it's even waivable for some reason
But I mean,
in this kind of unique circumstance.
Are we
Yeah.
as a commission, are we interested in facilitating some type of a, you know, I wouldn't even know how to put together an agenda. I'd put up a headline, we need to get our county open again, what do we do? I guess it's blank after that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, is it a value for county government and city government to?
I see it coming down the line, because, I mean, not just talking about financial support, but just in, your phased approach. I mean, at what point do you allow your businesses, so, okay, some of your businesses were deemed essential, and they got to stay open, but others were just closed, they just shut off. There ought to be a phase at some point that allows them to make a good conscious decision on separating their people by 6 feet or whatever, and allowing their doors open. You know, they didn't even have that chance. So as we think about reopening, we need to think about how can we allow them to mitigate themselves.
But I mean, are we gonna have any responsibility in that, or is the state gonna take that responsibility?
Maybe, but it still doesn't hurt for us to be planned up and ready for it if the
I
state
mean,
throws
from what I've
reins
seen
at us.
from state government, that power rests in two people's hands, Laura Kelly and Norman Lee.
And right now, there's still at least at the moment, unless they decide to start segregating that into small pockets within the state itself, it's still a governor's issue. And whether they go ahead and delegate that back down to the home rule entities, I don't know.
I mean, if, it would appear to me that she's at some point in time gonna have to say, we've got counties in this state which don't number that most of our cases are in.
Yeah.
You other counties, I'm gonna delegate this back to you, and you use a common sense approach to open up.
I believe she has said that.
Yeah, she has.
Yeah.
With, you know, we talked about it almost jokingly, but it's really true. Social distancing is a way of life the further you go west, because people are miles apart,
That's
not
just-
just.
But I mean, at that point, what responsibility do we have? Do we have to come up, do we have to have policy? What do we have to have?
It's going to be a, staged approach. It's going to be, okay, you turn, and I don't know if we wanna use this analogy or not, but if you turn the valve on, you turn it on a little bit. If you start to have a problem, you back it back off a little bit. And just keep working your way out of that.
Yeah, but our business is gonna say, yeah, that's great, Jonah, but what's the specifics to
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
I've got 5 employees, so can I open up tomorrow with 3?
Right.
That's what
Coupled with
they're
the
looking
fact-
for. That's what
And-
they're
and-
looking
and-
for.
And I agree with working with the cities and trying to develop a plan for that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not against you on that. I'm just
Yeah, I
saying
just-
that we
We're even
need to be
getting-
thinking about it, because the governor's gonna dump it on us. It's gonna happen.
I
We're
think,
even getting greater complexity
Can I
to it.
say
Yeah,
something?
Dave,
as a county commission, I think we should be in a leadership role and help all the cities work together. You know, show these small businesses how to make a website, to get on the website. Like all the restaurants in town, maybe we had a general website with the lunch special.
right, they could do the
Get
click and
something
order.
organized, so they all work together. And just work on the internet connection is a big thing, which, you know,
Yeah.
that's our job, but.
Then they're gonna say,
We
okay,
can't-
county, we need some bucks to do this.
Yeah, but that's to be our program, we could hire a consultant, a programmer, not a consultant, but some high school kids to make websites for local businesses.
Well, and I see.
help them coordinate together.
Okay, and then what do we pay them? How do we pay them?
Well, I know that's transient.
I see.
We need
Yeah,
to
I mean,
go-
that's why I brought up the transient guest tax. Is that gonna get any kind of flexibility to it, to where we can actually spend it?
Can we amend it?
Statutory.
No.
So personally, I think we're kind of out of our league. I mean, the beauty of being independent entrepreneurs is making your own business decisions. I really have a problem telling them what they may and may not do, and to use their initiative to go on the internet and all this. If this is what they wanna do, that's up to them to do that. I don't know that anybody sitting in this room is qualified to tell the individual businesses how they should run their businesses.
Not
or
tell,
what they may
assist.
or may not do.
No, yeah, just
We need-
say it's
What they may or may
available.
not- They may do whatever they wish to do, but I will tell you from my personal experience, I have never been an online purchaser. eBay and, what is that, Amazon?
You're
stand
in the minority, trust me.
Secondly, I will
In
tell
today's
you,
environment particularly.
the longer I'm doing what I have to do, or told to do, I'm beginning to love it. And so I think the longer we keep our businesses closed, the more you can expect our economy to diminish. That's my thought.
That's,
I guess the issue, that
We're all on
going
the same
back
page,
is
though.
Jonah says at some, and I believe at some point in time, Laura Kelly's gonna say, Marion County, you're not a high risk anymore. Figure out how you're gonna open up. And then the businesses are gonna say, county commission, how do we do this? What do we want?
Well, I think some of that is gonna also fall in the health department.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
do
the
you
health
get to be
department's involved in that,
I
but
don't know that we ever really
it would probably be in conjunction.
Yeah, we just
I
need
just
to
didn't
provide
know
leadership.
statewide
yeah.
emergency declaration.
I don't know, I
Alright.
just brought it up, I mean, I think it's something we need to be thinking about, I don't know.
And you need all the cities to go in the same direction, not to fight each other. 'Cause I know Marion has a merchants association, and Hillsborough has a chamber of commerce, and I'm not sure what Peabody has. And they got chamber of merchants,
Randy would probably know the best, I mean.
but they all need to work together.
So, I guess, I have a.
Well, I mean, if that's fine and dandy, then if they're not gonna look to the county for any,
We would need to
Leadership.
facilitate a countywide meeting to bring everybody together, and let them work it out.
Could I, allow, anybody got a problem with letting Roger speak?
no.
Roger, Holter?
Okay, thank you very much. All I would like to do is paint a possibility. through this, a new normal has been defined, and a lot of people are very skeptical about the environment that they'll be entering. So now this is just one avenue of thought, if we provided guidelines for gatherings and how small businesses should reopen to support social distancing, then have a county safety first accreditation be assigned to the businesses where we can affirm that they have table spacing of 6 feet apart, that we have the basic cleaning, housekeeping steps, and then utilize those funds to market those businesses that have taken the steps to safely re-engage with our customers. This would be a reassurance not only to our friends and neighbors here in the county, but to all of the visitors that would be coming to our area. This is just one line that a committee can come together and discuss as possible options. I truly believe in limited government. We're not the answers to everything, but those things where we can help set a standard and lend credibility, I think that's how we jumpstart our own community and tie those resources together. I appreciate the opportunity to just share my thoughts, and that's all they are, my opinions. Thank you.
Are you asking Larry?
Yeah, Larry, do you have anything to contribute to the conversation? I mean, I know from my seat, I would like to see, a couple delegated people from whoever wants to be part of a forward thought, thinking about this seriously and not just dismissing it. But
Well, volunteer.
I don't have any problem with volunteering myself. I don't have any problem with Ken
Yeah, no,
or Dave or I don't.
That's what I do every day.
But it would, and we'll just wait for the cities to have their meetings and see what they think, and maybe we'll collectively come together. I mean, without trying to dictate anything.
We want to be a help, not a hindrance.
Right. I just got a note that Reno County currently has a program like that, and they advertise it.
What type of?
Like what Roger was talking about, the accredited businesses that have stepped up to be the safe zones, and people that are, restaurateurs, somebody wants to go eat, they can look at that and see, well,
Would that be, if to do an accreditation, it would about take the health department?
Either the health department or the cities actually have a code enforcement already, so they
Yeah,
can,
some of that
they can.
inspectors.
And a lot of it will depend upon whether all of that will filter down. In some instances, some of the states have already discussed their program. And they are utilizing, the state agencies like KDHE or someone, because what they're doing is mandating certain things at the door. If they do a temperature check for everybody that comes in, some of that kind of stuff, and that all is something that is being done typically at the state level. The other thing that's gonna come into play here that we're gonna have to monitor day by day, I don't know if it'll impact this, but the federal district court ruled against Judge Kelly on the church situation. So right now, that's still pending. Now they're hearing this Thursday, and so we don't know how that's all gonna.
That only applies for 2 churches.
Right, so
unless
far.
other churches decide to get on the class action.
And then you get into these things as people get more antsy about the viability of their businesses, whether someone's gonna come in and say, I feel compelled to file some class action on behalf of all restaurateurs or whatever it may be. So I don't know how, so much of this is an unknown for us right now. We don't know where that's gonna end up at.
Larry, I seen your mic on for a second and then it went away. I didn't know if you had anything.
I just got a note from a friend who's watching on the video feed as well, and he was reflecting upon a call that he had with Lyon County and Emporia, where they were having the same kind of conversation, and they were conducting a little consultation with their main banks, and their banks were saying to the county and to the city to hang tight for a little bit so that they can watch what the state is going to come through, and then also if there's going to be some additional federal or state money for opening up business.
That makes sense.
Yep. Okay. Is there anything else that needs to be discussed on this topic today?
You talk for days on it.
Does any, okay, we've already got a consensus of 3, maybe possibly Randy also willing to volunteer on the come together board.
And I'm sorry, my schedule, I've got enough outside boards
Okay.
right now.
So we've got enough candidates is all I'm getting at that would be willing to do this if the cities were willing to move forward on
Right.
something and do something. So I think this is a productive talk and we need to see where it goes. I'll go ahead and move on to the next thing unless anybody else has anything else to say. Okay. Looking for Randy. Okay. We'll move on to the next topic, which is Commission County Administrator discussion. Kinda thought I would have a lot more comments, but really haven't. I've got a few comments. I don't know if I want to read some of them off. You should have all gotten the one in your packet from Coyote Gulch. There was another one sent out this morning.
On that one, he asked that it be read in the meeting because he had to leave.
Okay. So, I will try to zoom it up here. Alright, so, actually I will let somebody else read a little quicker than me.
Have at it.
You just want me to read off the paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about that one? I didn't know about the Coyote Gulch one. I thought,
Okay,
I got
well-
them confused.
No, Kevin Suderman had
Okay.
sent one, but he couldn't stay, he had to leave the meeting, so he asked that it be read in the meeting on his behalf, so.
Okay. Marion County Commissioners, I am full support of the creation of a position for administrator, and here is why. Over the last number of years, it has been increasingly obvious that our elected officials neither have the time or ability to capably lead Marion County through the process of government. Much of the inability to govern comes from the lack of educated leadership along with the desire to not lose power or money. This is not a knock against our elected officials, but a statement of how hard it is to be an expert at something you don't do on a regular basis. So what things would an administrator do? An administrator removes the need for a constant discussion of county employees and their salaries in open meeting. You would be able to adjust the meeting times more than likely to just 2 meetings per month. Also, you more than likely will be also limit the meetings to less than 3 hours regularly. This can be a net neutral cost to the county. The commissioner's required pay will diminish due to less meeting time and therefore much less pay. In fact, a simpler per diem is sufficient and common. You can also eliminate the need for CPA services to set up your budget. These 2 things can give you upwards of $100K in cash in your hands almost immediately. The elimination of hiring consultants also should be on the wane with an administrator. You can hire someone with expertise to lead you through discussions. They can give you advice on taxation. They can prioritize projects. They can create budget. They can do HR where it needs to be done behind closed doors. They understand COMA and legal issues and know when you need help with either one. By allowing an administrator to take several things completely away, the elected leadership can focus on infrastructure and public safety, which is really the core of what you're elected to do. The commission needs to spend more time thinking about a strategic plan right now. Right now, they can only put out the fires by squirting money at something. There is no plan. As to each of you commissioners, why don't you want something that can move Marion County out of our continual stagnation? The The definition of insanity is doing things over and over again the same way, expecting different results. We need to do it different. If it doesn't work, then why do the two largest communities in Marion County have administrators? They have smaller budgets, fewer employees, and smaller landmass. I have served on the Hillsborough City Council. Larry Payne is a tremendous help to the city of Hillsborough. Did I always agree with Larry? No. Did he provide us with information to make good decisions? Yes. You do not want another politician. You do not want a yes man. You want someone to provide you with the information. You want someone to lead you through a forward-looking process. You want someone that can take things that should only be administrative out of your hands so you can do all the things you continually talk about but never get to. All right, the other thing is on the screen from Kyle Gulch, and I'm going to let somebody else read it.
Yeah, I'm here.
He's on the-
Oh, okay, there we go, thank you for being there.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, I don't know if the commissioners want to do the camera thing. I don't know, Tina, if you have the ability to turn that on or if that's on my end, but I'm assuming my volume is okay here.
Yeah, can you please state your name?
Okay, Matthew Voth.
Are you just want to read what you wrote, or?
Or,
No, okay. If you're ready, I'll just go ahead and dive in here.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have similar thoughts along the same lines as Kevin. My thoughts aren't quite as organized, a little more casual. You know, it's kind of frustrating. I see all this time and energy spent by the commission on just putting out fires, just treading water on the county. You know, this county, if you look at census numbers, we are an aging county and a declining county. And so far, financially, we have gotten by because valuations have continued to go up. That won't always be the case. And if the Kansas House was in session, that would have probably ended already on the valuation. They may have topped that out. There was talk of doing that. I guess I see an administrator, you guys can read my comments too, as giving you guys the time to do some visioning for the county. You know, basically a SWOT analysis, I think, needs to be done by the commission of this county, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, etc., of how to at least maintain the population and attract people in this county. Marion County is blessed that we have some wonderful natural resources on the east side, and on the west side, we are next to two very significant counties, Harvey and Marion, that have some very large industries. And basically, that is how the small town of Gossel has been able to maintain and very slowly grow, is basically selling itself as a great place to live for those employees of the other two counties, because Marion County can't compete with McPherson County's electric rates. You know, Harvey County has some benefits also. But my main point there is saying, you know, what is the vision of this county in 5 years? What do the commissioners want to see happen in this county in 5 years, 10 years? And taking that back to an administrator, some of the points there, a county administrator can do the detailed research of a subject for you guys and then give it to you guys for a decision. So often I see commission meetings just go down rabbit holes and get in the weeds about little details and little stuff that, you know, 20 minutes of conversation are spent on, when somebody can present you guys with all of that information and you guys then have that knowledge to make a decision. I can only imagine the legal cost that we're paying, and I probably should do an Open Records Act request, so much council work. If you guys would meet half as many times, your legal, the cost of your legal work would go down tremendously, and a county administrator could do a lot of the day-to-day running, a lot of that stuff that would reduce your guys' times and meetings. And for instance, you know, I've seen the county legal sit there for 45 minutes and answer a 2-minute question. There's nothing personal against whoever is the county legal, but you guys just paid him for 45 minutes of work. You know, a county administrator can call.
Matt, I gotta correct the record there for a minute, just so that everybody knows. He's on a retainer, and we pay him on a yearly budget. So I don't want any misconceptions out in the
That's
public.
good to know.
Okay.
That's very good to know, John. Thank you.
Yeah.
But an administrator can do that research beforehand with a phone call, and he doesn't have to be there, you know. If you hire the right person as a county administrator that has training, they can know state statutes. You know, in regards to like what Randy mentioned with recycling, you know, recycling is not, you know, that's not in your guys' job description, really. It's a voluntary deal. And they can know the details of the COMA Act. You guys have all been through that headache in the last couple of years. They can help preparing budgets, review employee issues, and make sure that the decisions that you guys have are carried out. You know, there's a lot of positive comments from the 2 cities that have administrators. An administrator could be a single point of communication for people coming into the county. And it's really frustrating to see you guys just get so continually bogged down in details when I think there's a bigger picture that you guys need to look at in this county, and where do we want this county to be? You know, with his comments about small business, Ken mentioned that a little bit. That's the kind of thinking that we need the commissioners to have time to do. To think of those programs like that to help small businesses, to market the county.
Okay.
Because guys, we're a dying county. I mean, let's face it. I mean,
Matt,
it's,
I'm gonna have
show it.
I'm gonna have to ask you, Matt,
Yeah.
to get your bullet points,
Yeah,
because
go ahead.
well, the time constraint. So if you could just touch your bullets, or if
Sure.
there.
And last part I'd say is, you know, before you make this decision, do some research. Talk with Anthony Schwarzenegger, Harvey County. Talk with some other counties that have administrators. See how they do it. See if it would fit Marion County. So that's all I have. And you know, it's kind of one of those deals where I'm 10, 11 to sit here for 2 hours, 2 3/4 hours for a minute and a half or 2 minutes here. But yeah, those are my thoughts. And once again, that's as a county resident. Yeah, I've been there a couple times for the Chiefs Association, and this does not represent the Chiefs Association.
Okay.
Thanks for the time, Commissioner.
All right. Is there any chance I could share the screen, because I've done a few little things to present to everybody on some research? So I still got the old KDHE thing up here. So anyway, sometimes things are a little different between county administrator and city administrator. There's a lot of misconception that happens, that thinking that the county administrator would be overriding everybody in their positions. It's really not. It kind of falls more into an executive secretary position. So you still have your elected officials, and those elected officials are still responsible to the county citizens. And this is a diagram that was put up by Franklin County citizens. A guy that Larry introduced me to, Jim Witt, provided me with some of this information. Because I was even a little bit confused at the beginning talking about a county administrator. So the flow chart shows all your elected officials, and they basically all lay out in the fashion there, which is no different than our structure we have here, only other than there's a county administrator in between the Board of County Commissioners and all your other department heads. The hopes going forward with an administrator, you would basically have little dotted lines, you know, going from the county administrator on the backside of all these elected officials, so that you could bring together a coordinated effort and move the county direction in one direction. Not saying that that person is in charge, it's just a person that allows more fluent reaction in the courthouse when in our absences. The other stuff I have had, and I will send this to Tina to basically go across to the rest of you so you have the time to look at it, is basically just different county administrators, their job layouts and what they are requested to do, who some of them are. Here's one for Dickinson County. Dickinson County is probably the closest to us. They had 19,000 residents when they decided to put an administrator in place, as far as thinking about county sizes of population. The pros and cons basically is the only one I'm just going to pick up on and highlight. These are a lot of things that, you know, that are on, I see as on Tina's plate a lot, and it would free her up to do a lot more things that she needs to take care of, and not necessarily replace or impede, just really provide the support so that we get better efficiencies in everything. And not that there isn't good efficiencies, I know when I'm overloaded, I can drop the ball too. These are all the counties as of May 2015 that have administrators. There's a couple off on the right that got cut off, but you can see it's all the way around us pretty much. It's not quite, but down below it shows a research report, and this comes from the Kansas Association of Counties. And like I said, I'll send this off in a packet or in information for Tina to distribute to the rest of you, so I don't get in trouble with any COMA violations. The different counties, the different sizes they were, the different years that they implemented an administrator. So I think there's only one thing that got put in a different order, but it was another job application, basically, or not application, but another
Job description.
Yeah, description. So that's all I have. I would, if anybody's got anything to say on that, I would entertain.
I would have a quick question. Is there an amount budgeted within the county budget for an administrator currently?
No, I believe that line item was extracted. So we would have to come up with those funds and budget process. We would also have to figure out how to do it the best in order to provide the best service to the taxpayers without incurring a bunch of extra cost.
I believe the county
And I guess-
administrator funds were allocated towards a radio payment this year. so
Yeah,
I'm not
those
sure.
ones that went to
So I think
radio
it may
payments.
still,
It's still a line item there.
well, yes, I mean,
It'll come
well,
back
you-
next year.
I'm sorry, I think that was in 2019.
Yeah, I thought there was a.
I'd have to
a-
double
A
check.
mark that may have cash forwarded, got used for something else, but never got funded again last year.
Yeah, that's
Right.
probably
It wasn't
correct.
very-
I was just working on the financial statements and
Yeah.
that was from last year, so.
I see Randy's mic's on and,
And I'll just say this, there's a very good question on the chat, about the commitment of the commissioners to reduce their salary if a county administrator is hired. I think that would be important for the commissioners to discuss.
yeah, I'll get to those, public comments. I just, need to get any more, what was it? What's it say up there? Anybody feel free to read that off? I can't.
I can't.
Which one, Linda?
Well, does Tina have it up?
Oh, you can't see it?
There are, all the top ones are just about trash.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
the
I'm
last-
sorry.
Matt said there was one there and I couldn't
Well,
see.
it's Linda, I assume that might be Linda Peters, there's no last name. What is the commitment of the commissioners to reduce their salary if a county administrator is hired, or will this be additional expense?
Oh, if it requires less time of me, I don't have a problem giving up some. Right now, I did the last 3 weeks of what I get paid and it come out to about $4 an hour. All the stuff I did. So, that's where I would stand on that, Linda. Don't know, but,
And I think that's the issue you deal with at the time.
yeah, as it requires less of you, you should be requiring less. That's.
Yeah, because we can, it's easy to say we can go to two meetings a month.
Yeah,
That's easier said than done.
Well, and
If it's possible.
statutorily, don't we have a statutory requirement for a Monday meeting? Based on our population, there's a statute that outlines how often.
Not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, okay,
Plus, it's also a good time when we're looking at 2021 budget to see how that money would flow that would, pay a salary and benefits, how that fits into our budget, and that's coming up soon.
mhm.
So I think to me, that's an appropriate time. I mean, it's good to have some of these questions, but then at budget time, we can kind of delve into that, because, I mean, we're gonna have our CPA is gonna be with us this year, irregardless.
Right.
And he has a lot of expertise in that sort of thing, and I'd like to have his input also.
And I just did verify that we did not fund that line item this year in the 2020 budget.
Right.
Yeah.
Did all of that
Yeah.
line item get used? Is there anything?
Yeah, we used the whole amount for
Okay.
2019 towards the radio lease purchase.
Okay,
The other part of that, we've been through that transition several times, where they moved to. A lot of what's said is very pertinent, but it's no different than the discussion you had about a county engineer. They cannot be all things to all people. They are not typically going to be a CPA. They're trained in public budgeting if it's someone with that skill set. But they don't know everything, and if you take that whole list and say they can do all this stuff, maybe, but if they do, you better plan on a,
Much higher salary.
yeah,
It's big.
it's a pretty astronomical sum, because they're really managing like a mid-sized corporation in Kansas. It's a smaller one in many other states, and someone sitting in that CEO position commands a pretty hefty salary, and I'm not speaking for or against it, just something to remember, that they are not gonna be able to replace you in a number of ways. They can do an awful lot of the things that were on those lists, absolutely. And a lot of the stuff that Tina does for you now, they can pick up a lot of that slack and do it. There's a lot of coordination they can do, there's a lot of advanced planning they can do, no question. But it's not going to be all of those things and then do 100% of all of those things.
But you don't see the cost savings the first year, it's gonna be the
down the road.
second year on.
Yeah, and it may not even be the second year, it just depends on what all they have to attack and how much time they have to do it. Certainly management and professional management, I'm a firm believer in it, but just be careful how much you hope they can do, because it's not always as realistic as you might expect it to be.
And what kind of staff they might think they would need on top of that.
Yeah, because they're not gonna be able to do everything in terms of you want them to be able to generate even simple letters and stuff. Well, yeah, they can do that themselves, but they can save a lot of their time because they're being paid more for other things if they've got someone clerical in nature. So yeah, there's just a lot that goes into that decision.
I'd like to hear from at least one of the city administrators, maybe, if either one of you wanted to speak. Larry?
Mr. Chairman, I'll volunteer briefly.
Okay.
Larry Payne, City Administrator, Hillsborough. I'd like to confirm a lot of the things that folks were saying in the earlier statements. I wanted to at least
Randy can't hear.
take and point out a couple of things that I think I saw in your meeting already this morning. If I were a county administrator working in your environment,
Hey, Larry, can I interrupt you for a second?
Because Jonah has the screen maybe.
as a series of recommendations
something happened to him.
for you
There's
to
Mike.
take action on, that the 30 or 40 minutes or so that you spend on a number of these topics would be reduced down to maybe 5 or 10. You know, the nature of our business is to make your role as elected officials a lot easier and to help you become more efficient. And one of the things, I've written down several comments here that I've heard, and one of the things that I thought about a lot prior to this discussion today is the coordinating factor that an administrator does on your behalf with staff. That to me is part of the major job that I've got. You know, I normally talk to the staff and say, I've got both of my feet firmly planted in both areas, on the governing body side and on the staff side. You know, I need to be the go-between between staff and the governing body, and the governing body and staff. And that way that there's a lot better communication processes that go on. The other part that I think is important here is the nature of what I think a governing body's work is. I think that this is reflected in a thing that I normally call my 50,000 foot look. You know, your job is not necessarily to look at each and every pothole and report those to the road and bridge manager. You know, his job is to be out there and seeing that sort of thing and being able to deal with that. On the other hand, you know, what your job basically is related to road and bridge is to make sure that he is working in and doing things that you want accomplished, and to be able to paint the big picture there. Not necessarily, you know, tell him everything that he has to do on a micromanagement point of view. Your job is to look at the big picture. Let's see, Matthew Vogt, as I was looking at his comment here, he said something about SWOT. And I've also written down a strategic plan. You know, as a governing body, the city of Hillsborough has gone through this a number of times. And in January, we went through another significant exercise, spent a day and a half at it. And right now, our city council has a plan for things that they want to have occur, you know, in the next 5 years. You know, unfortunately, I'm not going to be involved in all of that, but at least at this point, we pointed the council and the staff in the right direction so that we know where we're going and how we're going to accomplish that. The other thought that I had is kind of to think about how many businesses that you know of in the world today that operate on a budget the size you have with a part-time chief executive officer. I don't think you have any of that. I don't think you can pull organizations with your budget size that can do that. And I think maybe the last thing that I'll add to you for this thing is that, you know, in my experience, bringing issues to the city council, I give them the pros, the cons, the actions that can be taken, and as a governing body, they're able to look at what those issues are. And we regularly have meetings that last less than an hour. And, you know, we've got, you know, depending upon the year, anywhere from $9 to $11 million worth of budget that we deal with across the board. You know, and that's a significant change or amount of money that we're dealing with. And my job is to make that process work well and give the council the ability to make a decision based on the advice that is given each and every council meeting prior to in an agenda packet, so that they can make that decision. And if they want to raise other questions, they're capable of doing that. I have a couple of members of my current city council that are regularly raising their hand and saying, Larry, what about this? So I think, you know, in the whole context, you know, Brad's comments a moment ago about the value and the extent of all of the things that an administrator does is you're not getting a superhuman person. You're going to get somebody that is really smart in the operations of local government. And there will be some areas of work that your various staff will be able to hand off. And I'm pretty sure that from having been a first-time city administrator in a town in Idaho, that that there's a lot of adjustments that are going to occur in that period of time. And clearly one of those was the city clerk. And I would imagine that Tina's job could be a little less hassled in terms of her ability to do her work that she's required to do by statute. So I'm going to stop there. If you got any questions for me, feel free.
Anybody else? Okay. I guess what I had this broke out for is I was going to go ahead and make a motion to approve the creation of the position of county administrator. Gonna have to work out budgets and everything, but that makes us move forward on that directive, that goal.
Kind of quick, isn't it?
Don't get me wrong, I'm in favor of county administrator, but we're within 2 months of going into budget. And yes, we have funded that and then taken it back out. It won't be enough to hire administrator. It's gonna take more money than what we've funded. And what I would like to see, especially since we're under this mandate, I don't know if we're gonna get out on the 4th or if it's gonna get extended. I would like to see us incorporate this into the budgetary process so that we will have the ability to at least give it time to, look for the right person. It's gonna take some time to find the right person.
Right, that's not what I was going for. I was going for creating the position, and
Yeah.
then you could work towards filling the position.
I would like, I think we're looking at, gonna have a hard time, I'm not saying having a hard time, but we're gonna have to look at the mill levy this year. We've held the line the last couple of years. Hopefully we can hold the line again. That would be my hope. I don't know if we can. But, you're also we wanna get the right person. We're gonna have to have budget in place. That budget will have to include not only an administrator, but probably an administrative assistant. I don't know that would be created right away, but I'm guessing that most administrators are gonna wanna have an administrative assistant. So, the 80,000 that we had budgeted may have to be times 2.
Well, I see it being a little larger than that, because you've got to, you're 80,000, but you also still have to have your insurance and your other.
Yeah, we're talking about
Vehicle.
salary and benefits.
Vehicle, office
Yeah.
space.
Yeah,
And I could see it going to the 100 or 120K range. Kevin pointed out 100K, and I could see that just
Mr.
based on
Chairman?
all the extras. Yes, Randy?
Why don't you look online right now at Ottawa County, I believe, and they've got a budget request for a county administrator of $250,000. So that's including their salaries, their cars, all of their assistant secretaries, and somebody mentioned this, and the whole thing, look at your surrounding counties. If you go to Butler County, if you go to Harvey County, they have assistants underneath, one for budgeting, one for personnel, and so you may have 3 people in there.
Right.
And
That's, no, go ahead, sorry. I didn't
I'm just
mean
saying,
to-
I'm just saying, that's exactly what you really look at. Let's look at the top line here, and you're looking at a lot more. And another thing, might as well talk about it now, is that we took and went to 5 commissioners because we didn't get a vote for the county administrator. Now we got 5 commissioners. So, and we're jumping around here and we're reacting to this, and for sure we have to get it in the budget. I mean, if that's what, we didn't hear about 4 or 5 people say anything today. So does the majority want it? Maybe not. The vote will prove that. So let's make some sound decisions here before we go jumping into making motions and things. Thank you.
and another reason that I brought it up because of the budget, Scott Lloyd has a long history with Marion County, but he works for other counties too. And he's got a lot of expertise that he can add to us when it comes to, talking about adding an administrator, and I think he could be an asset to us as we go forward. Don't get me wrong, I'm in favor of administrator, but it's got to be done right, and we need to be able to know that we can fund it without causing a lot of pain to the taxpayers.
Well, I have a motion on the table, and I guess it's going to die, because I don't even have a second, so. I will,
Yes, I didn't hear a motion because my audio was off for a while when I was putting my phones in my ears, meaning that I couldn't hear. There's a motion on the table?
yeah, I had the motion already before the discussion.
So Jonah made a motion to approve the creation of the county administrator position. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was created the position. We would have to fill in all the gaps, we would have to fill in the job detail, we would have to fill in all these things. But the position would be on the board and push us to go forward with the rest that would need to be done in order for that position to be a valid position.
Maybe.
Well, let's bring up one more thing. If we're gonna make that motion, do all that, and if it passes and everything, let's follow through, because I made a motion about an ambulance building.
Right.
and nothing's being followed through. I have not been presented with any ground or anything
I've,
so far, so.
I'll bring that up on the next deal, but the commission comments as far as.
I guess maybe it'd be wise first to ask the commission, is the commission unanimous or at least a majority in wanting to go forward with discussion on an administrator?
Yeah,
And, I mean, maybe that comes before creating a position.
yeah, well,
I mean, I would make a motion that go ahead, maybe Randy.
Well, I think we need to figure out where we are with the previous motion. So are you
Okay.
considering that dead for lack of a second then?
I believe so. I'm looking around the room and
Have we turned it back on?
I'm believing that
Okay,
lack of a
thank you.
second.
All right,
So.
sorry to
go ahead.
interrupt.
Go ahead with your.
I would make a motion that we continue discussion about a possible county administrator and have that dovetail into budget preparations for 2021 so that we can also have consultation with our CPA and, give us time to talk to, I know a couple of administrators. Maybe we've all talked to them. Give us all time to talk to a few administrators. And with the full knowledge that we want to, we have a line item for a county administrator, but at what level are we going to fund that, knowing that under the previous amount we're not realistic. So I would make a motion that we go ahead and continue the discussion through budget time.
Okay, so you had made a motion. Can I just restate? Is that okay?
You might need to tell me what I said.
Well,
Shorten it down.
I have a motion from Commissioner Becker to continue discussions about possible creation of a county administrator position and dovetail that into the budget preparation and also allow enough time for the board to conduct research and determine funding level.
Yeah, good. That's my motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
3-2. So, all right, we're gonna go on to another set of public comments. If you've already said your piece about any other agenda item, I'm going to leave those closed because I've allowed them to carry on a bit too long today. I don't know that anybody's put in anything. I haven't seen anything on the chat box, so at this time I will close the chat box and it will no longer be open for public comments of any kind. All right, commission comments. Just wanted to address one thing that Randy said. I did reach out to the city administrator of Hillsborough. He admitted that yes, he is working on the lease agreement. He's got it. He moved from office from Hillsborough. He moved to Junction. So he's been in a transition period. It wasn't that he was slugging us off. It's in his table.
And he and I have spoken.
Okay,
to,
and
John.
Brad has spoken with him now, just for verification there.
Okay.
What was the, I did bring up my concerns with Susan Robinson on the tax sale, just because I was out for a while and, I knew there was wind of it, talk about it. That is also waiting on the Junction City branch to take care of. And she's waiting to have it back, so it's not on her. I just want to make sure everybody understands that she's waiting on a reply from Josh from the Junction City branch. So there's two items.
I'm confused. The Junction City branch of what?
Well,
Josh Bain,
yeah, maybe
closed
Brad can
his-
address it better.
Well, I say closed his practice, I don't wanna speak too much for him. He had Cottonwood Law.
Right.
In Hillsborough. He's taken a position with a firm in Junction City, the name escapes me at this moment, I'm embarrassed to say. But I've talked to him several times over there, we even had what went on to a Zoom or a Skype meeting on a case he had in Newton when I was on the bench. So he is, as far as I know, I haven't asked anyone else that, but I assume he's still representing Hillsborough. So in terms of this lease, he's been charged with the duty
Okay.
by the city of Hillsborough to draw that.
Okay, we're talking about the lease for the
Yeah,
building,
and
not the
I
tax
don't-
sale.
I don't know
Well,
what that's about.
two different things. Two different things. I addressed the lease for the building, and Brad replied on that and verified that him and Josh have been in talks about the lease. Then I moved on to the next item, my apologies, and it was basically on the tax sale. I had brought up some concerns with Susan because I wasn't here for part of those meetings, and I was on the screen like Randy is now, and just wondered where we were, and she had said that she was waiting on Josh also for that.
Was Josh involved in that in some way? I didn't know, okay.
So
I didn't know he was involved at all.
Yeah, so, and
Do we need to change lawyers?
No, Susan Robson,
Is with Rick?
she represents the county for tax
Right.
sales.
Okay.
yeah, so
And she farmed it out.
No.
No.
no, there's probably a few items, and maybe that needs to be an executive. I'm not sure.
I just didn't know how Josh was involved with the tax sale.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I was trying to kill two birds with one stone with that. He has moved offices, and it's caused a few slowdowns. That's,
And was your answer to Randy's question?
yes.
Was that what you brought that up for?
Yeah. Yeah, because I felt it wasn't an agenda item, and I should address it now. So, train's going for me, buddy. Anybody else have any commission, or if I brought anything up and, no, okay.
So I got two texts, one from Amy Soyas, who said she had a comment or a question and nobody asked her her question. I didn't see it up there.
I didn't see it.
Didn't see it.
But she said she had a question up there, but she supposes you're just not gonna answer it, so I don't know. I'm just saying
There
what
is.
what she wrote.
Diane, they're all up there.
Oh,
There it is.
Downstairs.
Oh, yeah.
But
That was because I asked,
That's after you close it.
I was asking for the public comments because we didn't want the same repeat of what took place the other day when we were done with public comments, we went to commission discussion. And then people just kept flooding in and wanting to talk about the topics that we're supposed to talk about. So that was my purpose of cutting it off. Maybe it was in just before the nick of time. I don't know. We can go ahead and address it if somebody chooses to.
The question
can't
says,
see
are
it.
you going to at least advertise this job statewide and not only in the Marion County papers?
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna speak for the commission, but
Normally, we have
Normal
those type
policy.
of jobs.
well, and I need to discuss it with Brad before I say anything.
So then I did have one other person, and it was Linda, who sent a question that she wanted on a different topic. And I've had it for a while. I said I'll just hang out for a while because I wasn't gonna just interrupt. But she just asked, if we're all supposed to be social distancing and wear masks in public, I get why the commissioners and presenters are not wearing masks. And Phyllis is at a high risk, so why is she not wearing a mask, or should we provide one for her? That was just a question. I told her I would ask at the time.
We have some things in play coming, attempting to address that issue.
Get ready.
Well, also,
Oh, there you
I mean,
go,
I think
Brad.
the recommendation is
Yeah,
when
volunteer while I do
you're
it.
in public, that if you cannot do the social distancing in areas that are difficult to social distance, the recommendation is to wear a mask. And it is, if you wear a mask, it doesn't necessarily protect you. wearing a mask protects the other
The
people.
other person.
We have 6 feet between our people here, so I mean, there's not a requirement at this point to wear a mask.
It's a recommendation by the CDC.
And if somebody wanted to, they certainly could.
That's a Trump thing.
No, I was just reading a question.
Right, I know, but, I mean, that is our.
Yeah, it deserves an explanation.
Sure, I was just trying to answer it.
Okay.
The other thing is a pragmatic element of it, the way we're set up right now, for some reason, the muffled nature of people with those on, and I've been through it, that's why I'm hearing it, they cannot make out what you're saying, and then you end up doing this anyway to speak
You're
in a
not supposed
microphone.
to touch the mask.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of a tough situation.
It's a counterintuitive deal
Yeah.
to be in front of a microphone to wear a mask.
One thing though, if it's okay, you know, when you do get to the point where you're moving forward and we are reopening in stages with county offices and other essential type places to the public, at that point in time, there may be a requirement, or perhaps there should be a requirement that employees and people visiting those types of buildings would be required to wear a mask to protect each other. And also another thing that you might want to be thinking about as before you get to that point of reopening is whether right now you should be taking any steps to potentially install some sort of a sneeze guard or something, particularly in the treasurer's office. This would be a good time to be doing that in anticipation of the time where we can reopen. To having face-to-face contact, that would be another level of protection. So those are a couple of things that you really should be thinking about in your leadership roles for when we're ready to reopen.
What other departments would need them? I mean, the clerk's office could probably, at the front, use them also, right?
Well, where our counter is
Sheriff's desk.
split, I don't know how, potentially at that one area might be helpful.
County attorney's office.
I think
But
that-
as far as in our office, I think for the most part, we can maintain the distance. In the treasurer's office, there's
Yeah,
not
it's
any
not.
space
It's not.
to do that. So-
Treasurer's office too.
But anyway, something to think about.
I just think that if we're gonna do it to one office, we should do it to all offices. That's what I see up in Dickinson County.
Do it for all
Yeah.
offices?
Yeah, I mean, plexiglass or whatever you wanna call
Yeah.
it is not
Are they priced
expensive.
any of that? or-
It's not
No, that, nothing has
expensive.
been done and there's
You
been
guys
no.
got
Well,
information in the
yeah.
mail?
There's the,
I mean, conceivably, we might be slowly opening up early May.
Right.
We're less than 2 weeks away.
right, and then
I
we
mean, I
have
was
to.
at a gas station.
I think we should go ahead and try to get some of that taken care of, that protocol taken care of prior.
And it really is fairly basic. I mean, Dylan's did it overnight for the cashiers. They've got them like in Newton, in front of those
Yeah, I've seen
spaces. Where else did I see them? Oh, even at like hardware stores and wherever they check out, they slap those up.
Even the
just a
quick,
little bit.
the quick trips and
Yeah.
stuff are used.
They got
They're-
slot-
They put the little ones up.
Yeah, it's pretty
Just-
basic.
It's
Right.
I
just
know
for
we
the
talked
one
about it
person.
before, it's not an expensive process.
Yeah.
I'm just, is there someone, a local company that makes those things?
It's a good question, I don't know.
I think that
Yeah,
would be,
good for us to do.
he thought the courthouse would go to Marion on it by now.
Hmm.
And some-
Yeah, somebody's trying to make a buck, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I know it's not on the agenda, but
all the service
I
stations.
think we need to give the county clerk the ability to put some of this in place.
Yeah, and I'm of that favor because I do see the social distancing going on even after things are opened back up. I truly feel that will go on.
Something should have been done years ago, probably.
Well, yeah, it did probably.
Well,
Probably
you
are
don't
higher
think
risk.
about it until you get it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Higher risk areas, because you talk about security. Which ones are your higher risk? Maybe you ought to not just go with the plexiglass, maybe you ought to be going with the real deal, you know? And leave it in place forever. I don't know, Randy,
After we do the
What's the
desk.
real deal?
the speak-throughs.
What's the real deal?
The speak-throughs and,
The real deal is that our appraiser, well, not the appraiser, but the appraiser's office too, but, the
Register of
appraiser's
Deeds.
office needs a whole deal across the whole front, I mean,
Right.
and that's a big items
Yeah.
project. I don't know whether the tables and stuff and things that you've ordered, Tina, does that company have anything that attaches to like what maybe Janine ordered and stuff, or do you know?
You mean the office furniture company?
Yeah, the office furniture company.
I don't know, but I can check with judicial and see kind of what their process was when they when they installed things up there. We can find out some more information,
I
but
think that'd be a
I
good
just didn't
first
know if
step anyway.
the board probably needs to be thinking about
Well, rather than just spending money on sneeze guards for everybody, I mean, you're gonna spend the money, let you do it right, so take your high priority items
We get.
and give them some
you
sort
know,
of security.
Local carpenter could
Right.
design something.
Right.
We probably need to take action to do that then, or unless we're just gonna designate.
Well, we
We
would
can
want to
just
go get
start getting
quotes.
some information.
Yeah, because they're gonna wanna do it soon.
So,
I have another comment.
Yeah, yeah, Randy.
Just, that's the reason why I'm sitting here and doing this. The company has taken it's for safety of not only the employee, it's for safety of the public, it's safety on both sides, and that's the human resources division is the one that contacted my office and supervisor, and that's where it's coming from, is the safety for both sides in doing this, and I think we can all see it now that it's doing that, but it is different attending a meeting out here than it is sitting there and everybody, you can feel the meeting, so. But anyway, thanks for whoever made that comment out there. The mask, we are in time contact. We're supposed to be within mask and stuff within anything we do when we're out in the public. So for our company, and it's just safety, and I think that's what that person, whoever it was, Diane, that texted you that message. Why? I think that's what they're looking at too. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, I would like to. I mean, just talking about, and I know where Randy's coming from because I've been on the other end of that screen, and I see the struggles and difficulties from that side, and but I also see that I don't want to. The chairman or this vice chairman needs to be here to sign the documents, so everybody else could potentially not have to be in the room. But that's I get it. It was very hard to try to be a chairman on that end of the screen. The rest of it, if I wasn't the chairman or trying to run a meeting, wouldn't be as difficult. It would still be a struggle. And I know Randy gets it because he's the vice chair, so I mean he's understanding it the same way I am. I don't know. Anybody else have anything?
Just as a reminder, anything that you do to have been able to facilitate the remote meetings, this plexiglass or whatever you choose to do, as long as it has an element of that safety feature, are all potentially reimbursable. That those FEMA funds, we don't completely go bankrupt as a nation. So bear in mind that some of those, that it's
might as well buy as much stuff as you could.
We'll just roll up the streets and call it good. But in terms of that sorts of things, it is reimbursable. We'll advance some costs, but at least down the road there's the potential for some of
That's right, that's all under the disaster declaration.
Yeah.
Reimbursement.
That's a good point. Thank you, Randy. All right. Anybody else have anything else to say? I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I would make that.
I'll invite Randy for it. Kent so moved. Dave seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Oh.
Aye.
Aye.
He
Yeah,
had
he
his
puts
hand
he
up.
puts his finger up, and then that's how I catch him. I know he said yes or no. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, Randy.
Yep, see you later.
See you.